You're watching and listening to The Daily Living Show with D. Elias.
Welcome to Daily Living. Today, I have with me David Rath. He is a registered dietitian in Little Rock, Arkansas. Thank you very much, David, for joining me today. Today's topic is a very hot topic. It's weight loss and management. And David is going to help us. I guess we could start by setting realistic goals and ways to reach them.
Yeah, and I said, the old saying, reach for the low-hanging fruit. I used to play baseball, so I like baseball analogies. I say, go for the singles, don't go for the home run all the time. They're harder to get, hit a couple of singles and you'll eventually get the runs in. So start slow, and have some successes and gradually, that's how habits are formed, gradually over and over doing something again. So pick one thing you want to do, get it ingrained as a habit, and then start on the next thing. Don't try to bite off too much, because then you're less likely to be successful and get disappointed. And so it's a process.
Right. You don't want to get discouraged right off the bat.
Exactly. No,
right.
No, you really don't. And the thing is, it's kind of a trial and error thing. I mean, because everybody's different. Different things work for different people. Different people, people have different ways of going about things. And so, I mean, that's why when I meet with a patient, the assessment session is the longest session that we have, the first one, because get to know them, get to know what their motivations are and everything, and what their barriers are to living a healthy lifestyle maybe, and talk about doing that, getting over them. It's really a process.
Right. Talk about how to control your environment to reduce temptation.
Well, we all only have so much, so much willpower, okay? Right. So much self-discipline. I know I don't. My daughter bought me some coffee-flavored ice cream the other day, and I love that. And so I said, okay, I love you for that, honey, but I hate you too because I know it's in the freezer there.
Right.
So, coffee ice cream's a treat for me. I don't keep it in the house because if it did, I would eat it. Every once in a while, if I'm out and I want to get some, great. And I enjoy it more that way too. So, don't make it easier for yourself to do things like that. Keep fruits and vegetables around the house, not chips and cookies if that's your week. But a lot of people say I have just sugar cravings. That's my downfall. I had one lady say that when she goes, she always stops at a fast food place to get something to eat. She said, I try not to, but there they are, fast food on each side of the road.
Right.
And I said, find a different way home that doesn't have those fast food places.
Right.
Don't allow yourself temptation because she ultimately stops at one even though she doesn't want to. So make it easy on yourself.
Right. And that's like if you're in a checkout in a store, they always put the candy bars right there by the checkout.
Impulse buying. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, it's everywhere, so you just really have to elicit a certain amount of discipline, but put blinders on when you go to the checkout stand, don't look at those candy bars.
And then explain mindful eating.
Okay. Well, we tend to eat while we're working, while we're watching TV, while we're playing video game, whatever, and we don't realize, number one, we're not enjoying our food as much, okay? Number two, we're getting full before we realize it. I mean, I could sit in front of a movie and have a bowl of popcorn, that's a mile high, and just sit there and keep putting it into my mouth like automatic pilot, because I'm not mindful of what I'm eating. And next thing I know, I'm overly full. And so, you see people in movie theaters with movie theater popcorn, those big sodas they have and everything. And it's just, being mindful, like at night for snacks. what I'll do is I like dark chocolate with my hot tea at night when I watch, you know, a movie or something. And so I'll take a few squares, you know, a serving of that big dark chocolate bar, put them there and put the chocolate bar back. I'll take a little bite of it and savor it. You know, I won't just chomp it down because, you know, it's not like I'm eating it because I'm hungry. I'm eating it because it's an enjoyment.
Right.
Sure.
It's a treat.
So, you know, we all enjoy food and we want to enjoy food, and that's fine, and we can. But that lasts me for the whole movie because I'm taking just a little bite at a time and I'm savoring. I'm letting it melt in my mouth, so to speak, and I'm getting that taste for a long time from just a little block of it instead of just chomping the whole thing down, all those calories, and getting a few seconds of enjoyment. So just a couple examples of things that, you know, and the more you enjoy your food, I think the less you'll eat of it, you know, really. Taking your time, because the first couple bites or so is when your taste buds are really active, and studies show that they get less active as it goes on. So really, if you're mindful eating, you'll enjoy those first few bites, and maybe after that, maybe if you're eating slowly and really enjoying it, you say, okay, well, I've had enough. You know, I'm not enjoying it quite as much as I did at first, and so
Right.
you move on.
Right. What are low-calorie dense foods?
Okay. Like Mom said, eat your fruits and vegetables, okay? Foods like fruits and vegetables are, they have about 80 to 90% water, which water doesn't have calories. They have fiber in them. You don't digest most of that fiber, so you're getting hardly any calories there. But the water and fiber fill you up. You don't get full on calories, you get full on bulk. Your stomach gets distended and tells your brain that I'm full, well, stop eating. So potato chips, you can eat them all day long, right?
Yeah,
Glazed donuts are like air when they go down, you know,
Right.
but they got calories in them. So yeah, so fruits and vegetables are the greatest weight loss tool that there is, and whole grains, you know, your good carbs, like carbs that have fiber in your whole grains. The fiber makes you feel full. So the water and the fiber together, you know, foods that are high in it. And most Americans get only half the fiber you're supposed to get in a day. So I think if we got more fiber, that would help our health and our weight.
Name some foods that are extremely high in fiber that we should add to our daily meals.
Well, like I say, the fruits, grains, whole grains, dry beans and peas. They're the basic ones. You know, nuts, unsalted nuts are a good snack, and they have the good monounsaturated fats that are healthy for you. So yeah, so that's basically it. And beans are basically a vegetable. So at least in the vegetable group as far as nutrition goes. So fruits, vegetables, and whole grains are basically what you want to eat, and that's what people don't get enough of.
Right, and that's any fruit.
Yes, pretty much any fruit, and I'm glad you said it. The emphasis is on whole fruit, not the juice. Okay, because fruit juice is where they squeeze all the sugar and the juice out of it, and so you're getting as much sugar as what's in a soda there, and you're not getting you're not getting any of the fiber, and you're not getting a lot of the antioxidants and things and other nutrients that are in the flesh of the fruit.
Right.
So blending fruit's okay, but juicing is not, because juicing is when you see all that pulp that's left. That's all the flesh that you're not getting.
Right. What about a calorie budget?
Okay. Well, I like to analogize that to, you know, people can relate to budgeting your money. Well, if say to maintain a healthy weight, you need to take in 1,500 calories. Well, okay, if you go out and eat a double bacon cheeseburger, fries, and a large shake, you probably got close to your 1,500 calories right there, but you didn't get the nutrients that you needed for the day, all the vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and fiber and everything that you need. So that's why eating like that is not a good idea. And you know, eating out is okay once in a while, but I mean, know people that eat out all the time, and they have problems as a result of that with their weight and with their health. So again, your fruits and vegetables, foods that are nutrient dense, you know, and low in calories, you can easily get the nutrients you need in a 1,500 calorie diet if you're eating healthy, lean meats, things like that, you know, fish, omega-3s, healthy omega-3s you get from salmon and tuna, mackerel, and then your chicken breast, which is the you know, chicken or turkey breast. The poultry light meat is the lowest in fat and calories, and very good quality, high quality protein source. If you're vegetarian, soy and quinoa, they're grains that have well, quinoa is a grain and soy is a bean, and they are the only two plant foods that have all the essential amino acids. So you can get a very high quality protein from those if you're a vegetarian, and get the fiber along with it.
And what are some good activity exercises that you could do for someone who sits behind a desk all day, or, you know, they're just have a busy lifestyle?
Yeah. Well, I know some people that, for once, they have, say, small kids and they work. Tell them, well, get a DVD, and that you can do at home, or, you know, you can get treadmills reasonably and put that in your living room and watch the news while you're on the treadmill. You know, there's a lot, if you don't want to, you know, have the time or do the effort to join a gym and go there, you know. A lot of exercise you can do. Also, a lot of my patients take, again, take breaks when they take breaks at work. They have 2 breaks a day. They do 2 15-minute walks during the day during their break time or lunch. And just getting up during the day, like, print something off, not at the printer in your office, that the one that's down the hall or something, or just take a walk down the hall or something. Don't just sit there for more than a half an hour or so, because there's some evidence that shows that that's not good for you. So get up and get your blood moving and around, so it's not pooling, and you know, so, because going to the gym, I worry about that myself, because I sit out all day, and I go to the gym at night, but it's like, am I really making up for sitting around all day long? You know, maybe I need to get up and move around just a little bit here. And there's plenty of things online you can see, exercises you can do while you're in your chair, or stand up and do some things up against the wall or on your chair. There's a lot of things you do just in your office there too.
Right.
And those exercise bands are great. You can use them anywhere. You know, I used to take those, go to a conference or something, I just throw those in the suitcase and don't take up any room. And you can do a full body workout with those. They usually come with directions for different exercises.
Right.
And a good mix of aerobic and strength is good, because that's strength training helps build muscle. Muscle metabolizes at a higher level than fat, and so it burns more calories. So I always have my patients to not only do aerobics for cardiovascular or for your heart, and to get a good, you know, in shape, but also strength training to tone your muscles up, you know, and raise your metabolism.
To keep your metabolism up, how often should you eat throughout the day?
Good question. Okay. I once read an article on sumo wrestlers, how they don't eat all day long, and then they gorge themselves at night and then go to bed. So not eating all day long, your body goes into starvation mechanism. You know, it's kind of from our ancestors. You know, if you're starving, your metabolism needs to slow down, and you'll eat yourself up if you don't have enough calories. So if you don't eat for a long period of time, your metabolism is going to slow down. Metabolism slows down, you burn fewer calories, and that's not what you're trying to do if you want to lose weight. So I've kind of analogized it to stoking a furnace. You know, when you eat, your body ramps up and it has to digest that food. And so it really ramps up and starts raising its metabolism. to digest that. It takes calories to digest food. Well, protein is hard to digest, okay? And so you burn more calories digesting protein, and protein therefore stays in your stomach longer, keeps you full longer. And that's kind of why high proteins diets work to a certain extent for that reason. But yeah, so eating small frequent meals or moderate sized meals and maybe a snack or so, you know, and according to where that snack is, you know, like say if you have lunch at 12 o'clock and you're not going to eat till 7 o'clock at night, you may want to have a small healthy snack somewhere in between there. And I always keep snacks in my office just in case, you know, like before I go to the gym, so I have some energy for the gym at night.
Right. And then also smaller plates.
Yes. You know, if you remember the Clean Your Plate Club, like I
Right.
was growing up, you don't want to have a real big plate because psychologically it looks like you have a lot if you have a small plate and fill it up. Whereas
Right.
if you have a big plate and you put a serving of this and that on there, you still have so much room. It's like, I don't have enough food here, you know? And so you tend to fill it up more. So the smaller plate will generally, you will get less, and then use smaller utensils so that you don't get big globs of food at one time. You have to, that does slow your eating down if you have
Right.
smaller utensils. And so it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain you're full. So you want to eat as slow as possible, or take a forkful and then stop and make sure you don't pick up that fork again till you're done chewing and swallowing it and maybe talking to your friend for a minute and then take another bite, you know. Then anything, whatever works for you to slow down your eating, and, you know, a lot of different tricks like that I go over with my patients.
If your bedtime is, let's say, 10 o'clock at night, when is the last time you should eat?
Okay. It would vary for the person. For some athletes, I tell them, you know, have a good snack at night. Also for a diabetic, maybe to have some protein and a little carbohydrate there to keep your blood sugar up. Generally speaking, you know, not within a couple hours or so of going to bed, I wouldn't eat anything. Your metabolism, there's some evidence that shows your metabolism tends to slow down at night, you
Right.
know, you're getting ready to go to bed, and so you're not going to burn it off so quickly. Indigestion, bad dreams, things like that from
Right.
eating late at night or whatever. So yeah, just, you know, I would have a light snack at night, you know, not a whole lot, and maybe not within, say, a couple hours of going to bed.
Right. And also, let's talk about the importance of water.
Of water, yes. We don't get enough water, and I always keep a water jug with me to make sure I get enough. Number one, people a lot of times thirst is mistaken for hunger.
Yes.
And so, you know, have a good drink of water and keep yourself hydrated. And, you know, you maybe you aren't that hungry after all, you know. So, and water helps all our body processes. It helps our metabolism and everything. So, you know, that will help keep your metabolism high too, by keeping yourself hydrated. So you don't want to dehydrate yourself. That will help weight loss as well.
To me, it's easier to think of drinking water in the summer versus the winter. In the winter, I have to remind myself that I need the water.
Yes. And in the wintertime, it's dry. And so you do need water in the
Right.
wintertime too, because
Absolutely.
you are getting more dried out, you know. And so, yeah. So yeah, that's a very good point. When I go to the gym, I have a thing where I have my closed container with me, and every exercise I do, I take a big slug of water, just, you know, just to make sure I'm staying hydrated, you know.
Right.
They say don't wait till you're thirsty. If you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated then. So a little
Right.
bit. So
And I always try to make it a habit to drink water as soon as I get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't been drinking anything all night long, so yeah, your body's going to be a little dehydrated, and drink that, and like I said, if you drink some water, maybe you won't eat as big a breakfast either, you know, because
Right.
your body's craving water, and maybe it's trying to get it from the food, so you're eating more food to get that water. Um, so yeah, that's a good point. Drink water.
And then what should people look for when they're shopping as far as reading the labels?
Okay. Well, you know, different people should emphasize different things sometimes. Like if you have high blood pressure, you know, check out the sodium. You know, you should have, well, if you have high blood pressure, you should keep it to about 1,500 milligrams a day. Other people should keep it to about 2,300 milligrams a day. So, you know, look at that and look at the daily value. You know, if it says that has 20% of your RDA for sodium, well, that means, you know, that's a fifth of what you should have in a whole day in that. So it's fairly high in sodium, you know. So if you have high blood pressure, pardon me, if you have high cholesterol, look at the saturated fat, because saturated fat, that's what's going to raise your blood cholesterol, not so much the dietary cholesterol. So if that saturated fat, it says that has, you know, 15 or 20% of your RDA for saturated fat, and it's like a little snack bar or something, I wouldn't get it. I mean, if it's a big meal, you know, I mean, maybe you're going to take in a few grams of saturated fat. As long as you keep it under 20 grams of saturated fat a day for a 2,000 calorie diet. I think we're going to have a session here on labeling in the future. I won't give still too much thunder, but, you know, look at different things like sugars and stuff like that, and calories. If you're trying to lose weight, obviously, look at the calories. First thing you want to look at is the serving size, because if that's what all the calories and everything else is based on. If you're going to eat more than what it says on that serving size, you're going to get more calories and more of everything else. And often we eat more than what's on that serving size. So, and servings, that's another thing. Servings versus portions. Portions are what we give ourselves and what the restaurants give us. And they tend to be bigger than the USDA serving size.
Yes.
So I try to make a distinction between servings and portions with my patients, you know.
Also, as far as reading the labels, I'm kind of shocked. For instance, juice. You have to really be careful, because if you read the labels on the juices, a lot of them says they only contain like 5% juice. The rest of it is sugars and stuff. And a lot of kids drink this because the parents are not taught to read the labels and pay attention to what's in the product.
Exactly. Yeah, look out for juice drinks, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And cocktail. If it says juice cocktail, it's just loaded with sugar.
Yeah, most of them are. So, and that's why I say, like, even 100% juice, you know, recommendations are that don't drink more than 6 to 8 ounces of juice, of regular 100% juice a day, because of the sugar content of it. And you're not getting, you know, the rest of the stuff in the fruit.
Well, like you said earlier, it's healthier to eat the fruit than to drink the juice.
Exactly. Yes.
What would, if you are going to be eating out, what would be your strategy?
Okay. Well, first, when I go out to eat, I know what I'm going to order before I even go to the restaurant, because I look it up online if they have a menu online. And I won't go to that restaurant in the first place if they don't have any healthy choices, you know, that I would eat. But then, you know, look out for things like sauces, because, you know, I went out the other with my daughter to eat. She took her out for her birthday, and I got sea bass, and it was wonderful. And it had this sauce. It was supposed to go. I said, hold the sauce, and I mean, it was wonderful without it. If I had gotten that sauce, I'd have gotten a lot of sodium and a lot of extra stuff that I just didn't really need. You know, we get used to dressing up our food so much that we really don't need that. You know, we
Right.
get used to all that sodium and stuff, and we can really adapt our taste to not have that and enjoy the real fresh food. You know, they say, well, sometimes maybe, well, of course, split an entree because the restaurant portions are so big. You know, I mean, they charge you an extra dollar for an extra plate or something like that in some restaurants, but it's worth it for to not yet. Or tell them if you have, either get a doggy bag, you know, a to-go box for the rest of it, so you can have it for lunch the next day. Or if you think, well, I don't know if it's in front of me, I'm going to eat it. You can tell the waiter, bring out half and keep half on the side and put it in a to-go box. Give me when I go. Be careful. There is some recommendations that, well, you could just order an appetizer instead of the entree. Okay, that's okay, but look out for the appetizers, because most of the appetizers I see on a lot of these restaurants have more calories and more saturated fat and sodium and everything than the entrees do. So yeah, you got to be careful there too. So choose your restaurant wisely, and then and be mindful of what you do order when you get there.
Right.
Watch the alcohol, because the alcohol has calories. They'll try to sell you that. And the bread basket. If they bring back a bread basket, sometimes, you know, they say, oh, that's free. Well, it's free. It comes with the meal, but it's not free of calories.
Right.
I read where the average bread basket has 1,000 calories in it. So if you're there with a friend and you split that bread basket, you just ate a meal before you had your meal.
Right.
You know? And that's not counting the butter you're going to put on it or whatever.
Oh my goodness.
Be careful.
Right.
A lot of traps out there.
How do you acquire a taste for healthy food?
Well, I can tell you from my own personal experience to begin with, that when I became a nutritionist, of course, when I was raised, I'm not a spring chicken, as you can see. Okay, so there was no diet sodas, there was no frozen yogurt or anything like that. You got real ice cream, drank real soda with sugar in it, and all that and everything else. My parents would eat corn on the cob. Well, you slather butter all over it, then maybe put salt on top of that salty butter too, and then eat it. And my mom breakfast was bacon, frying bacon, and then frying the eggs in the bacon grease, you know, and all that. So when I became a nutritionist, started going to nutrition school, I said, some of this guy has changed, you know.
Right.
And so again, slowly I got used to diet sodas or water now instead of regular sodas. And when I first took a bite of corn on the cob without butter and salt on, I thought, wow, that's what corn on the cob tastes like. That's pretty good. You know, it's good and fresh and everything. And man, so, you know, we get used to tasting salt and fat all the time, and that's all we will put on everything, you know. And it's like we don't enjoy the really good. And I know some people say, well, yeah, you're a nutritionist, you had to do that. Well, they did a study a few years ago, just about 2 or 3 years ago, where they did a taste test with people with healthy foods, and it didn't turn out so good. They served them healthy foods for about 6-week period. They gave them another taste test at the end of that, and they enjoyed it. They so much more. You can really acquire a taste for healthy foods. You know, everything doesn't have to have salt and fat, you know.
Right.
So it really can be done. You really can enjoy it. Give me a turkey burger any day other than a hamburger now. I love it so much more, or a black bean burger or quinoa burger or something.
Right. When we talked about that earlier, when I was growing up, we had sweet tea every night with our meal.
That's big down south.
And then I got used to unsweet tea. Now, if I even accidentally get a hold of sweet tea, I just can't stand the taste of it.
Tastes like syrup, right? Or something.
Yeah, it's just way too sweet.
Too much. Yeah.
Did we talk about good carbs versus bad carbs?
Well, not a little bit, not much, but yeah,
Okay.
that's a good point. carbs has gotten a bad name, and of course manufacturers really capitalized on that. There's low carb this and carb free and stuff. And like I said, well, carbohydrates give us fiber, and I said we only get about, the average American is about half the fiber that they need, and fiber is very important for our health. You know, we have the gut microbiome we're hearing so much about, the healthy bacteria in our gut, which helps our digestion and our health and everything. Well, fiber feeds that and keeps it healthy. And so, and when it eats, when our bacteria eats that fiber, it gives off short chain fatty acids, which are also healthy for us. So we need more fiber for that reason. We need more fiber for weight control. And what a carbohydrate, a whole grain, okay, when you look for the ingredients, look for whole grain, not molded grain. That's just packaging. It means it's more than one grain. But a grain is made up of the starchy endosperm with the bran around it and a germ. And the germ and the bran have all the fiber and a lot of the nutrients in it. Well, when you eat processed carbohydrates, white bread, white pasta, white rice, they take the bran and the germ off, and it's just that white starchy endosperm in the middle that you're eating, which has no fiber and just a few B vitamins that the government had to put in, folic acid and some other things like that they're mandated to put in enriched grains, because they took everything out of them when they took so that's the whole grains are the good carbs, and then the white processed carbs, that is what's causing the problems. That's what causes our fatty liver disease, type 2 diabetes, fat around the abdominal area, which causes those things, plus high cholesterol. We found that, when we went from fat being the bad guy, then everybody started going to carbohydrates. And so the manufacturers putting out all these processed carbohydrates, which was easy to manufacture. So that's when we started getting all this type 2 diabetes and everything else that comes with it as a result of that. So does that answer your question? That's good and bad of the carbs, I think.
Right. I know it's better to bake and boil and grill or whatever. Is there a healthy oil that you like, olive oil, or should you just not fry anything?
And that's a good segue from the last question, because I said fats used to be the bad guy. Well, now it's the good guy as far as the good fats go. We got the Mediterranean diet, and you got omega-3s from fish and stuff like that. Olive oil, canola oil, they're all good for cooking, especially canola oil for high heat, olive oil for less high heat. But they will help raise your HDL cholesterol, your good cholesterol. So they're really heart healthy. And so, peanut oil, safflower oil, olive oil, canola oil, they're all good. Okay,
so there's not one that's better or healthier than the other.
They all have their strong points and everything. Now, extra virgin olive oil is probably the healthiest. Extra virgin, that's the least processed, and that has the most omega-3s and things like that in it. So if I make my own salad dressing, so I'll mix some extra virgin olive oil with some red wine vinegar, and then put some lemon juice, other things in there to your taste. Usually 3-to-1 oil to vinegar. There's different uses for different oils, if you will. When I cook high heat, I'll use canola oil then for that. So it's coconut oil. That's trendy. Okay, there's not an oil that's higher in saturated fat than coconut oil. It's like 92% saturated fat. So some people say, well, it's a different type of saturated fat. No, it's still saturated fat. And all the health organizations say limited quantities of coconut oil. You don't have to, you can use it, but it is a saturated fat. And like I say, you need to limit your saturated fat to so much per day. So you can have some, but know that that's high in saturated fat, coconut oil.
Right. if I'm wanting to lose weight, whether it's a man or a woman, is 1,500 calories per day, is that what I should be shooting for?
No, when look at your height, your weight, your gender, your activity level, your age, your metabolic rate. There's so many things. I mean, there's formulas for it and everything. When I see a patient, I plug those things into the computer program that I have, and it comes up with a calorie level. So, you know, it's really different for different people. You know, I mean, if I have a big man that's active and wants to lose weight, I'm not going to put him on a 1,500 calorie diet. If I have you know, it's more like 2,000, he could probably lose weight or more. If I have a petite, you know, a woman that's fairly small and inactive, but she's overweight and to some extent and wants to lose weight, I'm not going to put her on a 2,200 or 2,000 calorie diet like I would the man, you know. So it's, you know, whereas if it was a larger woman and she is active, but wants to lose weight, then I could put on a little bit more calories than the other woman. So yeah, you know, when somebody says how many calories should I be on, that's a loaded question, you know, because there's so many.
That is a loaded question, right? And then each meal, they should make sure that they've got a significant amount of protein.
Yes, yes. And the thinking is you should have, according to your calorie level, anywhere from 20 to 30 grams of protein a meal, because that's what it's going to keep you full. It's also, your amino acid pool is temporary, so you have to have protein in your body to make those amino acids, to make hormones and enzymes and cell regeneration and everything, and rebuilding muscle and stuff, and all the things that protein does for you. So yeah, you should have protein throughout the day. Yeah, a little bit of protein at every meal and snacks. If you're diabetic, definitely, because that's going to help keep the food in your system and release it more slowly, keep your blood sugar steady. It's good for anybody.
Yeah. Also, I hear a lot of people say you should not mix like meat with potatoes.
Meat with potatoes?
Is
There's a
there
lot of
any...
things like that. Where'd you hear it? The internet? Must be true, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just hear everybody has their own opinion, I guess, and
Yes,
it just
they
creates such confusion.
I've heard it all. The blood type diet, yeah, don't mix this with that and everything. No.
Is there any two things that you shouldn't mix, though?
Well, if you're trying to get iron from your food, you know, and you're eating some iron-rich vegetables or something, maybe you don't want to drink a glass of milk with it, because the calcium will interfere with the iron absorption. It'll compete for the iron absorption. Have your glass of milk later so you can get your calcium. But you know, a couple things like that. But other than that, not really. For iron absorption, thank you. Yes, one more thing. For iron absorption, you talked about drinking tea down south here. I used to talk to a lot of women with anemia, and they drank tea or coffee with their meals. Tea and coffee have flavonoids in them that will block the absorption of iron.
Oh, wow.
So no tea or coffee with meals. About an hour before or an hour and a half after your meal, but not with it.
And that seems to be when people drink their tea, is with their meal.
Yeah, if you're anemic, don't do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It should be a good practice just to drink water with the meal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. That's a good reason to drink water with your meals. Yes.
Absolutely.
Keep the tea for later.
Is there anything else that you can think of we haven't covered?
I just get enough sleep. Studies show that getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep is good. If you get less than that, you're much more prone to be overweight.
Wow.
We're thinking it screws up your appetite hormones, ghrelin and leptin.
Right.
Ghrelin makes you hungry, and there's some indication that you increase your ghrelin if you don't get enough sleep. You don't get enough sleep, you might be more opportunities to eat too. And again, finally, a lot of it's trial and error. Everybody's different. If at first you don't succeed, don't get discouraged.
Right.
Look at it this way. You made certain strides. Okay. Well, you don't look at it as losing ground again. You got so far on your journey, and then you tripped. Okay, that's all right. Get back up and continue your journey.
Right.
It's a life journey. It's not a race. It's a marathon for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely.
It's the way we live. So.
Well, a diet is a work in progress.
It is, and it's like anything else. We're not perfect, and we work towards it as best we can. We do the best we can in life, and we keep on doing it.
Absolutely,
best we can.
Okay, so if the audience has any questions or comments, you can go on to my website or post them in the comments below. David is part of the panel of experts, so he and I will have other shows, one talking about blood pressure, another one about diabetes. We're also going to be covering fatty liver disease. I know I have an employee that, and this is a topic that we're going to cover later on, but I have an employee that has just been diagnosed with fatty liver disease, and he's never really touched alcohol. So, a lot of people relate that to alcohol consumption, but it's not. It's foods that we eat nowadays. So we will be covering that. If there is a topic that you would like to see us cover, again, you can go onto the website or leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Please support our sponsor, RenovationTea.com. You'll find a large variety from daily to specific herbal remedy teas, all certified organic and fair trade. Use DL10 to get a 10% discount. You can find details in the description below. If you like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss an episode.